Well, South Africa's education system was recently ranked one of the worst in the world. This according to the 2011 annual national assessment figures. But there are developments in place on a grassroots level to increase the pipeline for science, technology, engineering, mathematics and innovation. Joining us now for more insight is Ron Beyer. He's MD of the Young Engineers and Scientists of Africa. Thanks so much, Ron, for joining us this morning. Let's get straight into a look at innovation and how exactly you go about teaching innovation to our youth.
Hi, Alicia, and hello to listeners out there as well. Yes, if we look at YESA, as I affectionately call it, Young Engineers and Scientists of Africa, it's in the business of growing our youth. And essentially it is, as you said, about creating that pipeline. But coming back to the idea of creativity and innovation, South Africans are inherently very creative people. In other words, they come up with ideas. But to turn that into innovation, we need to be able to take those ideas to market. And just listening to the previous discussions, there is so much potential out there, and having worked with the youth, it is very important that we create those opportunities for entrepreneurial opportunities and the support mechanisms that go with it through TIA, National System of Innovation, etc.
Ron, it's David Williams here. It does sound a little bit like you're doing a sort of cordon bleu course, but the people don't know about basic cooking. I mean, one of the problems with our system is before you can teach innovation and creativity and things like that is that you've got to get the basics right. And I think it's now acknowledged by everyone that we are not getting the basics right, and they're not going to be got right for a long time.
David, I agree with you to a certain extent, but if we look at where we're coming from, in other words, the whole system of not allowing learners to play, the youth to play. They are looking at their feet. Yes, they want to see the future, but they're busy looking at their feet. And we need to create opportunities whereby they are exposed to the means of production in whatever format. You know, in my opinion, we are merely trying to tick the boxes. And we're not creating those opportunities where learners can experience real-world technology in the classroom, at home, etc., etc. I'd like to turn to a project which we're looking at the moment is Destination Zero Carbon, where learners will be playing with hydrogen fuel cells. Sorry, I forgot to mention, this is in grade 8 and 9, where they can then experience the wonders of science, or virtually every subject, within one project and be able to apply their knowledge into a more structured environment.
Ron, how do you overcome some of the very real challenges that persist? Because while this sounds all good, I mean, you've got lack of facilities to contend with, the likes of labs, tools, etc. How do you overcome a challenge like that, specifically in many of our underprivileged schools, because that acts as a limitation to the endeavors you're putting on the table?
Alicia, thank you. Yes, we have to overcome these important issues, but if we look at it from the point of view of there's a saying that cost of education is very high, but if we look at the opposite, the cost of ignorance is even higher. So we need to find the means to be able to take the technology to the users or bring them to the technology and be able to expose them to wherever possible. It is more, in my opinion, about changing attitudes, because having worked with many students in rural communities and townships, etc., I have seen incredible potential coming through. And yet we need to find the means to encourage corporates, encourage investments to come on board to make that difference, because there is real potential, even at farm schools. So we need to put our money where our mouth is and go out and make a difference in the lives of individuals who will then give it back to us in terms of the economy, the economic knock-on effect, etc.